Very, very happy to see you again, and welcome if this is your first time in the Rescogita's podcast channel. Rescogita, the ecological startup that aims to have an impact on individuals, on society, and on the biosphere. So remember to follow us on www.rescogita.academy. Now, sit back, relax, enjoy. Welcome to the third of 6 episodes of this Rescogita series on values and discovering the spiral dynamics. My name is Lorenzo Nava, and today we will discover spiral dynamics across the history of humanity. So, the very first humans were no different from the rest of the animal realm, hunting and gathering for food and survival, hoping to live yet another day, and moving through forests and ranges. And this created a problem. Survival rate was quite low. In case of an injury, even a light one, death was a quite likely outcome. As well as if packs of predator animals would attack, the single human would also likely be doomed. So there is a need for a solution. And that solution was to come together in groups and form the first tribes. Tribes were kept together by an in-group culture, by common rituals, taboos, where each tribe member sacrificed part of their freedom and individualism in order to belong, as well as obtaining protection and safety. Food, water, game, fire, and warmth were shared. Under a leadership of elders and the presence of a magic person who interpreted the signs of nature surrounding the tribe as divine or magical spirits. And for the first time, a collective conscience was born about what is right and what is wrong. This created problems. Individualism completely suppressed and undermined in favor of a group identity, and not clear rules that arbitrarily forbade or allowed how to live. The individual breaks out from the tribe, gives up the self-sacrifice, and goes for its opposite, self-reward, uncontrolled impulsiveness. I want it all and I want it now. This person would likely lead the tribe, marauding, traveling, expanding, attacking, where the only rule is the whim of the leader. This, of course, creates a bit of unsafety. And with that, quite a lot of problems too. There is a need to keep these impulsive warriors under check and ensure humanity is not just a long sequence of conflicts. A new system is born, one that creates rules and regulations, that establishes a higher morality and a code of conduct coming from the wisdom of divine beings and holy books, as well as written laws, especially to prevent that marauder from ever making its appearance again in human history. Belonging to a motherland, to a language, to culture, and to the holders of the absolute truth. This requires a lot of self-sacrifice. It means that people must obey the common rules or else be punished immediately. And if they abide by the rules later rather than sooner, they will be rewarded. For example, a good believer will go to heaven. Pay your taxes and work hard, and you will be able to rest and have a normal pension. And these kind of examples. This system does not fit everybody. Some individuals feel too much conformity and social pressure to be like one another, and to be boxed in folders concerning country, faith, tradition. These people break out of the box and start to aim for their own personal success. Ways where the ego can be satisfied. May it be in the arts, in literature, in medicine and science, in business. A world where one's worth is measured by one's success. And, of course, piled up wealth too. This solution created plenty of problems. Income inequality, exploitation, and finally, global warming due to the emissions of the massive industrialization and deforestation. Humans need to solve these problems, or else it will be the end of us. So it starts with more and more people joining non-governmental organizations, the growth of the green, ethical and sustainable economy, a tendency to look beyond borders and cultures, and that after all, humans are all one people and must strive together to solve the current problems of the planet, establish roundtables, implement projects, dialogue and demonstrations, publications. Great! And yet, this creates a problem too. The decision-making is so inclusive that it takes forever to get anything done. The intention is the right one. The awareness of the individual is there, yet a critical mass by itself may not be enough to save humanity from the environmental doom. Along with the other impending disasters on the horizon, human returns to the self. The collective mindset is put aside. There is a need for new learnings, for new ideas, innovation, to learn a lesson from all the humans in the past, to identify the solution which lies in the new knowledge and self-awareness. Eventually, this will lead to the creation of a new society, with a new set of moral and ethical conduct, with a new level of awareness of the self, of the society, of the environment, of the world. And that is probably yet to come. So, let's look it into a spiral dynamic view. So we have the beige color we mentioned before in the previous episode. Beige color appears around 500,000 years ago, around the Stone Age, where we had these hunters-gatherers roaming around valleys, forests, and mountains. The purple color, the tribes, appeared in our human history around 12,000 BC. So we are looking into the area that goes to the Bronze to the Iron Age. 12,000 BC is when the purple system is dominant. The red level starts also around the same time. More or less we can say 10,000 BC and goes on until the Middle Ages. More or less. The blue level, the law, order, morality and ethics, starts around 6,000 BC and it's still here today. The orange level starts around the 1400s and it's still here today. The green level starts around the 1900s and it's still here today. The yellow level starts around the 1950s and it's still here today. The turquoise, maybe it's happening as we speak. So, this is how we see values have evolved from 500,000 years ago until today. And it's not that one system replaces the other. They are built one upon the other. And of course, if you've done your history in school, you will see that it's not a steady, stable climb up. We go up and down. Environments change, and so change our values, so change our coping systems as societies. There is also one more key into understanding spiral dynamics. Not only it applies to the whole human history, but it also applies to our lives. From birth to death. So, for example, let's take a newborn. So Peter is a newborn baby. Peter can't really figure out what is the world out there. Has no language to communicate, only sounds. His focus is on his immediate needs. He needs to eat, drink, sleep, keep warm. And every time one of those needs is not satisfied, he manifests it with sound. And as soon as they're satisfied, he's calm once more. Peter grows up, and the world makes sense. there are his parents, his protectors, the ones who give gifts or punishments, if he deserves either. The ones who provide him with shelter and safety. It is a world of magic with tooth fairy tales, with Santa Claus, and a lot more magic. A world where monsters come to eat him if he does not eat broccoli, as well as a place with ghosts under the bed and plenty more wonders. However, this comes to an end. When Peter grows, his parents do not provide him anymore with the safety and guidance he needs. The punishments and rewards have no effect. On the contrary, they encourage disobedience. He needs to experience the world by himself and find out who he is. And there is, following his impulses and instincts. He wants to have fun by breaking rules, careless about the consequences of risks he creates for himself. Peter grows, and he calms down a bit. As he enters university, now it is his choice to decide what he wants to become and which place to take in society. He studies hard. Sometimes not hard enough and he fails, sometimes very hard and he gets a good mark, which will end up in a good diploma and a good job. Now Peter's in his office and lives his life by the rhythm of the office. When he wakes up and when he goes to bed. Packed lunch, friends among colleagues, paying his taxes, his rent, and all seems to be fine. Yet one day he grows tired of all this. That office chairs becomes very tight and boring, and feels that he is at a dead end. So he revives an idea he had back in university days, and decides to risk it all and open up his own company. There are ups and downs here and there. A number of times he needs to adapt to the markets and change direction and target. Other times he has to cope with competitors out there. But all in all, he becomes quite a successful entrepreneur. Years pass as he grows older. He can say he has a good company, a good family, a good house, and has a feeling, an urge, as his years pass the middle age, that it is time to give something back to society. He spent years alone, focusing on the success of his enterprise, and has a need to belong somewhere. So he starts to donate to causes, as well as himself joining a local action group, which does volunteering activities. However, will come a time when all of this will not satisfy him anymore, and he will need to look for deeper meanings. A life rich of experiences can for sure teach him many lessons, and will want to focus on developing himself and increase his competence in all areas of life. So let's look now at the spiral colors. Beige, instinctive, natural. From when we're born until we're 2 years old and we start to develop language, is very instinctive, survival-oriented. Purple. Purple, the tribe from 2 years old to 12 years old, more or less. When the tribe becomes the family, the parents, the belief in magic and supernatural, the taboos which are there are not fully understood. Red color can be from 13 to 18, the rebellion phase of the teenager, establishing the personality and wanting everything, not caring for consequences, taking risks. Blue is when starting to conform and to fit into the rules of society, into the morality obligations of being a full member of society. Let's say 18 to 30. And orange doesn't need to necessarily happen, but it can happen between 30 and 50 years old. This need of self-establishment, this need of self-realization, this need of being recognized and acknowledged as a self, as a successful me. Green quite often can appear around 50, the moment that can start to volunteer, to dedicate to a cause, to develop a sense of belonging and as well of purpose behind what we're doing. And yellow, contemplation of life and looking back and gathering all the learnings into developing new awareness. Well, that can be already in pension times, around 70. So we can see that the spiral, beige to turquoise, applies to human history from 500,000 years ago, and applies as well to human life, from birth to death. Of course, the lifetime does not necessarily have to go in that chronological order. That's just an example. And it is also necessary to say that most humans nowadays stop at the blue level until the end of the days. Though, must say that there seems to be a global trend of increasing orange and green. So, now we have explored the surface of how spiral dynamics is applied to human history, as well as to human life. Later on we shall explore also how it can be applied to today's human society and understand why this is called the theory of everything. Thank you very much for being with us today. Looking very much forward to hear your thoughts and impressions on this podcast, and you're welcome, more than welcome, to follow Rescogita on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course our website www.rescogita.academy. Next week we're going to continue our journey into spiral dynamics and discover how the system works. Thank you once more, and please do take very, very good care of yourself.